So I went back to work after my stereo EEG, and I felt great going into work. I thought it was the best thing ever. I could have fallen asleep on the desk at 11 o'clock and wasn't far off it, you know. I work in an office. I work in an office environment of a clinical environment, and so I don't see many people in the day, and it's so incredibly tempting. Just put your head down, just for a little. Anyway, for those who've never seen me before, I'm Anthony. I used to write an epilepsy blog years ago, called "What Epilepsy is Really Like," and ultimately, it was about what epilepsy was really like for me. And that's what really everything should be. Every dialogue about epilepsy should be about that individual. And I'm a big advocate of things like if someone has to appeal a PIP decision, for example, well, they've got a set of questions applied to the whole population, but ultimately they don't know you. And that's where the epilepsy and what it's really like for me comes in. Now, I was thinking about things you shouldn't do. Things you shouldn't do as a person with epilepsy, and that's not because you're not allowed to. It's because it's ill-advised. So, I haven't ridden a bicycle since I was 14. I'm 41. I haven't ridden a bicycle because one particular day I was riding my bicycle and doing my paper round at the same time. So I was doing my paper round, and I was cycling up a hill, and I have partial complex seizures where my left leg, basically anything on the left hand side, will give way. I was cycling up a hill past the man's house who didn't want the paper anymore, so I had to go past his house. Anyway, I fell over his wall as a result of a partial complex seizure. I banged my head on the wall, and my head started to bleed. And this is before I had a mobile phone, so I'd cycle home, blood dripping down my head. And I grew up in an area where everyone knew everyone, and in fact they still do. And I haven't ridden a bicycle since then. So I'd like to say it's ill-advised if you have epilepsy. Take into account the risks, and obviously driving's a no. But then people with heart complaints will find out that they have heart complaints, drive around all the time, and I mean that's a terrible thing in itself. But yeah, another thing you shouldn't do in excess, or just have a word with your epilepsy nurse about this one, is drink. I mean, I will have a beer. Beer with food. Have a beer with food. But I grew up around an Italian family. There's wine on the table all the time, but it wasn't a weird thing to have that. So I don't binge drink. I can't. My stomach will literally remove itself. And before I had my pacemaker, it used to make me have seizures, and I would pass out and have a seizure following that. I don't have that anymore. So yeah, do your homework on having a drink. Maybe I don't self-medicate. If you know what I mean by that, I mean don't self-medicate with a guy down the road who you just sent a text to. Don't do that. It's a really, really bad idea. You've got people running around, hopefully a consultant and an epilepsy nurse who can help you make decisions. If you happen to medicate yourself in other ways, don't let them become part of your treatment team, because I promise you, it's just going to end badly. But for me, back on normal track, it's been a relatively boring week, apart from one thing. I was in, should I say where I was? I can't remember where I was. Oh no, I took the kid to Peppa Pig World on the weekend. And I've been before, stayed in a large hotel chain before as well, not this particular one. We parked the car in a disabled parking space, which was right by the front door of this hotel. As I got out of the car to unpack the girls, I was asked if I had a legitimate blue badge. Now, this is my second badge, so the whole time that I had the first badge, this is the first time anyone's ever asked me if I actually had the badge. Now, I didn't quite know how to take it, but the more and more I've thought about it, the more angry I've got. Because, well, first of all, it must be in 35% of people with disabilities, or, I mean, this is my language. I mean, people with disability must be 35% of them have unseen disabilities. I'm not including mental health conditions here on, because I don't know the stats on it, but other health conditions that are caused by like a broken bit. If you know, like I've got a broken bit in here, that means I will never be able to drive. I have memories like cheese, specifically from Switzerland, and but what I did feel was anger. I was angry at how dare that person. How disabled do they want me to be? I should have limp out of the car. And it comes back to something from when I was in university. It was one of the first lectures, and it comes back to our own symbology. So the sign for a person with a disability is a person in a wheelchair, sometimes a person with a cane, and it comes back to that. We created our own discriminatory aspects by creating imagery that is used every day and will continue to be used, and as a result of that, people will ask questions. There is no image for unseen disability that is recognised by the public at the moment. I mean, even blind people, I know blind people who wouldn't know were blind. They carry a cane as a symbol. And I think, why should they have to carry a cane? If they're letting us know, we're not interfering with that. In a way, I sort of feel bad for the fact they need to carry a cane for my benefit. There's an element of humour there maybe, because I can't make an icon or a dog tag type of iconic logo for epilepsy. There is no logo for epilepsy. It's just purple, along with a lot of other charities and whatnot. But there's no actual image for this person has epilepsy, that it can't be treated in the normal way. So I wonder, where do we go from that? How do you respond to that? If someone has challenged your right to your right to a blue badge, or your right to PIPs or something like that, how have you responded to that? And how do we take control of that? Because the last thing you want to be doing is giving up control of what little control you do have. So anyway, it's coming close to 10 minutes, and I could do the coffee, and and probably watch The Office. But it was nice talking to you again. And remember, I mean, epilepsy is an unpredictable one, and it's followed me around since I was 7 years old. It's not the same, but it's the same. Let me tell you this before I go. I remember my very first seizure. I was 7 years old. I happened to be in my parents' bed, and I called out to my dad, and I heard him say, "I said, Dad," and I was having what I knew to be a seizure. I thought I saw my arms moving, sort of in that position, locked in that position, and having a seizure. My father cried out, "What's the matter?" And that's all I remember. I passed out after that. Now, when I had my stereo EEG, I called out. It was 2:00 in the morning. I woke up. I was having a seizure, and I called out, "I am having a seizure." The nurses had not ever heard someone announce their seizure before, but I think I was very fortunate to just hold on to a bit of consciousness and a bit of wherewithal. But I remember it, so it's less, it depends how you want to think about it. I remember every seizure I have. I don't remember every tonic-clonic seizure I have, but I remember the beginning of it. That much I do remember. Sorry about the bumpy camera then. But yeah, so really, if we think about it, despite all these years of passing, my brain changing, brain growing, whatnot, those seizures haven't changed at all. And it drew comparisons to 7-year-old me and 41-year-old me. I haven't told my father this, and I don't know if he knows if this channel even exists, but I hope he does see it. I'll show it to him. But anyway, stay safe. Take your medication on time, and all the other things that they tell us to do. Good night, or good morning, or good afternoon. That's someone else's catchphrase. I have to come up with another one.